I'm at the grocery store.
Which day? You said Monday? Monday or Tuesday?
Well, yeah, let's do Tuesday. I think I have something.
I have a calendar that I write down stuff. But I
I was about to say.
so I need to bring them.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay,
got
so
some
on
advertising.
Monday, Tuesday at 11.
That's hilarious. I looked at, insurance. Here's, listen.
No, do you have updated sheets, how you make your adjustments?
Yeah, there's new maps doing the square footage.
There's new math.
Now you have.
I do it
The two,
it's probably every day throughout the week. Here, Monday
then
and
times
Friday.
it by the
Except
super.
for when you have to go better by choice.
And then times it by.
Okay, I just seen that.
Nice.
I learned it myself.
I'm sitting back there writing it down.
Until I can fully immerse.
Kind of on every your schedule. I used to do it differently. Next time, what we'll probably do is we'll limit the chit chat and then I'll put a couple goals in front of you to go ahead and do so.
Okay.
You know, just like, so this is one thing that I'm doing right here. I am following my database this week. And I'm calling all the letter A's this week. You know, and then next week it's gonna be B's and C's and things like that. So I'm gonna have this ready.
And how do you grade them? How do you figure out your letter?
Oh, no, it's the letter of their last name.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
there's a whole system around it. I can show you that too.
Okay.
But that way, the next time you come in, you have the expectation, okay, I'm gonna buckle down, I gotta go, because I'm gonna have the same thing, I'm gonna buckle down, I gotta go to call. I have to call X amount of people on a daily basis. I've already missed Monday.
I'm not sure. I don't have any business cards or anything yet because I haven't, I didn't want to get my head just done really soon. Do I start going and talking to people like different?
So if you don't
places?
have a business card, okay, this actually works better than having a business card. When you're out and about, tell them, I gave all your business cards away. So I can say if I got that. That's it. Guess what you already got?
Their number.
Their number.
How are you?
Fine, I'm Kiara.
Yeah, I'm Brandon.
Nice to meet
Nice to meet you.
Brandy.
Welcome. Have you been here a while? Are you
No, I'm new. Probably like 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Right on. That's incredible.
Yes.
Excellent. Any history in real estate?
You know, it's the first.
What brought you here?
To be honest with you, my family, everybody's like looking at the eye, so I just think try. So I like it so far. I'm nervous, but I like it.
What are you nervous about?
Like moving forward, there's so much information. I want to make sure that I'm learning everything and learning it at a piece of it. I feel like I'm gonna miss something because it's so much.
It's a foster. You get outside.
Newer.
Oh, good. I was gonna.
That's what, this was.
Everybody's so that-
We had a new board. We just started on.
I'm still up here. 16 years. I'll take it.
We get a white one.
It's out of easy. It's really just a week. Stay tied in. All the stuff isn't gonna make sense. What he was going to do. Getting their number, all of them, people will call. You hand them your card, they're gonna do, I don't know, flyers, this, that. That's mine. Their information.
Then I'll be right back. I'm probably gonna miss like the first like 5-10 minutes. This is my yeah. Here's.
What's going on, Eddie?
Not too much today.
Going, man?
I'm not teaching anything special today.
CMA?
Yeah, I'm joking.
He's doing the cloud CMA.
This is the fun class.
Y'all probably heard the Zoom wasn't showing anything? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Fortunately, the first one, the Zoom was not working for some reason. So
Could they hear me?
I knew where to find you.
they could find you. I mean, they could hear you, yes, but they could not see the screen.
Well, it was a last minute attempt. So.
Well, this is kind of an overlap a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of an overlap. The only thing I'm not going to discuss today is about selecting the right properties. So more about how to make the adjustments and then how to do the CMA. Although we're gonna hit on it, and there are some new math that goes involved in CMA that came out this year.
New math?
New math. So we're going back to math this year.
Math like math.
Mathematics,
Some
yes.
agents aren't gonna like that.
I know, some are not gonna like our new math.
I've met some.
Luckily, I went all the way to calculus C in high school, so.
Holy.
Did you really? What was wrong with you?
What?
I said, what was wrong with you?
I don't know. I was a nerd.
What's going on? I love your entrance. That's the way I do it.
Right?
She's here.
I have.
So, and you can still do that while you're doing
Well, I work PRN for that company, and then my site's busy.
Now, these are prized possessions here. I would say either make a scanned copy of these, PDF them, laminate them. They're hard to come by, but I did my work to find them for you. These are new adjustment guidelines. And we're gonna go over these guidelines here. So this is some new stuff that has come out, so. Let's go ahead and get going here. For anyone that's on the Zoom call, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna send Suze a PDF. Let me get these to you guys. I'm gonna send Suze a PDF of these guidelines to actually put up on the YouTube channel when this gets posted. So. And post this already. I'm sorry, my stomach is kind of loud, it's making a lot of noises there. I can actually throw it into another room.
Yeah, you should have heard it when they were jackhammering. Oh my.
So let's go ahead and get the adjustments, talk about adjustments right away. And the first thing we're actually gonna do is we're gonna flip it over to the other side. So we're gonna look at how to pick your houses. Now, Jenna has went over this. This is going to be some new information for you guys. The first thing is that you want to use current data. It's kind of a given there. And because our market is so hot, you do want to pick, here it says 6 months or less. I even recommend 90 days or less because prices are changing. In most neighborhoods around DFW, it's probably close to 6 to 7% change from last year. So what you're looking at is big price changes. So you really need to take into account the most recent sales, which are generally between the last 90 days. So looking at that, that is something that's very important. And the next thing we want to look at is age bracket of homes. This does depend upon the neighborhood itself. some older neighborhoods in Dallas, you're going to probably do a 10-year span of your homes. But looking at some developments and also newer developments, you do want to pick between 3 to 5 years now. So that's 3 years before, 3 years after. And that's for newer developments. For developments that were built in the 2000s, probably about 5 years. And then going back in time in the 80s, 70s, you're looking at 10-year span. So if a home was built in 1975, what is the span? So what would you say? 10 years, but
35 years or
Well,
no, 45 years.
1965 to 1985. So that's going to be your span right there of that home. Square footage, this is where our new math comes into play. Square footage, and I'm going to go through when we're doing our cloud CMA and adjustment here, but it's going to be your target home with the home that you have chosen for your CMA, the difference in square footage, then you times it by the square footage of the home that has sold, and then you times it by 35%. That is the new math for coming up with a square footage adjustment. Now, you only do a square footage adjustment if it is more than 100 square feet from the target to the one that you have chosen as your part of your CMA. Guys all get that? We'll go through
The
it.
35%, I guess I missed that part.
So again, the math is you take your target home and the home that you're choosing to use in your CMA, you make the difference between the square footage. You then times it by the square footage of the home that sold, and then times it by 35%.
So the difference of the shortage times the full square footage of the one that sold.
Then times by 35%.
Okay.
An example?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually do an example when we get to one we're gonna do, so I'm gonna take you through that. Just remember that when you're choosing your homes, you wanna make sure that it is in a range between 20% above and below of your target home. So you do wanna make sure, so like, for example, the one we're gonna be doing today, the target home is 2,699 square feet. So the range would be somewhere between 2,159 all the way to 3,239. That is your range of square footage right there.
What is the source of all of this? You said this is new data. So where is this coming from?
From actual appraisers.
Okay.
This is how appraisers are doing their adjustments now.
So that 35%, when you read that bullet, they're claiming the other 65% is the land and improvements, which that's interesting. They pick the 35% number.
And now the reason we go by this is because we want to make sure that our home appraises when it sells.
Right.
So this is why we're going by what appraisers are doing. The next thing is the bedroom adjustments. You only adjust bedrooms if the home is under 3 bedrooms. So a condo that's 2 bedrooms, that's when you adjust it. If you're going with a single family home that's 3 bedrooms and one that's 4 bedroom, you do not adjust. So it's only if it's under 3 bedrooms. Condition, and this is the hard one here. It's difficult to apply value, but you want to take into consideration the condition of the home. Does it look run down, holes, well stained? So it's more of a subjective value right there. Design and appeal. We all have to talk about design and appeal when we are ready to work with a seller. If they have taken a Tudor home and have made it modern inside, that has just taken the appeal of a Tudor home away from some shoppers because they're looking for a Tudor home on the outside. If they come into a modern home inside, it's going to be clashing of what the style of the home is. Again, it's subjective. It's about style. That's why I always tell any one of my clients, when you're going to redesign your home, please call me right away because I want to make sure that you are making a good investment in your home. Scroll this up here. Lot and size and view. You want to make sure that the comp is, again, a 20% of lot size. When you're working in a development, generally most lots are about the same. but you have to be careful. Some developments now, like Liliana up there in Salina, they have 50-foot lots, 60-foot lots, 70-foot lots. That's a different value based upon the lot size. And then, thank you. You want to make sure that you also, when you're adjusting these, that you are actually multiplying the difference between the subject values. So again, you want to make sure to make those adjustments there. Pool adjustments, it's use comps with pools generally, and I heard Janet talking about this. Try to keep, if it has a pool, with a pool. You don't really want to be making that adjustment unless it's very, you have to choose a property that does not have a pool. Stigmatized properties, this is again subjective. Some people don't care if there's power lines running behind your backyard. Some people do. So it does depend upon the actual property itself. And then estimating as is condition, and that would be if it needs repairs, if they're selling it without making any repairs. You want to make sure that you do get suggestions from an actual inspector or something, a person that is a professional when talking about an as-is property, what is going to be the cost of repairing that property to bring it up to code. Total adjustments should never exceed 20%. So if you have exceeded 20%, that's probably not a good comp. So just make sure that you never do exceed over 20%. And then solar panels, a lot of information here on solar panels. I'm not going to touch on that, but you guys can go ahead and read through that. Now, flipping over our page back to the front, you're going to see these are the common adjustments here. And again, it's broken down on the top between a home that's between 100 to 200,000, 203, 300 to 4, and then above 500,000. Year built, if it is greater than 3 years, that is when you are going to make adjustments in regards to the year built right there. Square footage, that's that map that I talked to you about. It's the same regardless across the board. Power lines, if there is a power line behind the property, there's your adjustment right there. Golf course, that is a favorable thing to have a golf course behind your home. Again, depends upon lifestyle. If someone doesn't like a golf course, it probably is not the right home for them. Sites like lot size and cul-de-sac, views, green belt and creek, locations, if it's a gated community, or if it's a prized community itself.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Because you have like, so for the golf course lot, you have 25,000 plus, so.
It would generally, if it's on a golf course and 25 plus, it does also depend upon the actual course itself. If it's a private
then you
course,
go up to like what?
again, it would never exceed 20%. So just make sure you
Okay.
know
Okay.
From the price.
And that's 20% of the sales price.
yeah, 20% of sale price.
Yeah.
And on year built, you said not to go over 3 years difference?
That is the recommended for newer developments.
Oh,
The average sale prices in our area being
3 to 5 years.
to the right and beyond of that, I mean, are there guidelines from other appraisers that would give us more accurate details for when you get north of 500?
You could always talk to another appraiser, but most of the appraisal guidelines always just stop right there at 500,000. Again, bedroom, you do not make adjustments if it's less than 3 bathrooms. This is the bathroom adjustment. If it is a half bath, all you do is divide that in 2. So if there's a half bath and it's between 300 to 400, then it'd be 2,000 instead of the 4,000. Carports and car garages, adjustments that way too. Sprinkler systems, pool, spa, and deck. Again, try to keep those the same. Covered patios, fireplaces. Kitchen is pretty much the only design remodel that is now on the adjusters guidelines. There are no other, they do not have flooring. They do not have bathrooms on there right now. So kitchen is the only one that's added on there to add its value. Again, it is subjective. If they have some wood floors that are over the top, then there are some value in that, but flooring, not a change. Lots of trees, major roadways, and then the last thing again is there's solar panels. So wanted to present this to you. It's a lot of new information. Please hold on to these. You don't know how, I had one when I first started that I had a great guideline and I don't know where it went, and I tore out all my hair trying to find it again. You can see how my hair is right now. So let's get into Cloud CMA. So let me go ahead and get into Netris. Now, when you are starting Cloud CMA, you are, even though there is a little button for Cloud CMA, you are actually going to start inside of Matrix right here. And our target today is a home in Wiley in Creekside Estates. Guys, anyone familiar with Creekside Estates in Wiley? You pull it up. It was a community that was built starting in the 2000s and went into the early 2010s. There is a wide variety of homes in there. So, but I wanted to choose that one because guess what? My sister lives there, so I can decide what the value of the home is today. So we're going to pull up this one, 3000 Regina Drive in Wiley here. Get rid of the screen a little bit. And the property that we are right here last sold right here for $331, and it sold on the 18th of November in 2016, and it sold for $331 right here. It is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2699 square feet. It does not have a pool, and it is a corner lot. Does not back up to a creek. Let's take a look at some of the pictures in there just so that we can get adjusted. You can see, nice size yard.
So you didn't start in Cloud CMA?
No, did not start in Cloud CMA, started in Netris. We're just gonna go through the property. Carpets. As you become, most of us in this room, we probably are really good at looking at pictures really quickly. I don't know how, I go through them so fast that sometimes I'm amazed with myself. I'm actually familiar with these homes. This is the standard build for these kitchens. It has a granite countertop and then a tile in the kitchen and so forth. So we see it's pretty average for its age, built in 2007. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave my tab up. I'm going to create a new tab to the right. Nope, I should have done it the other way. A second. Okay, right there. But this time I'm going to go into residential quick. And I am going to go straight to the subdivision and pick Creekside Estates right there. Reason being, when you are working with big developments like this, or when you're working with a condo, you want to stick to what is familiar and the quality of it built. So for single family homes, you want to stay with the subdevelopment if you can. If you're working with a condo, you want to stay with the same building if you can. That's going to give you the most accurate price of that home right there. Now, if you cannot do that, that's when you start making the adjustments of half mile, mile, and you start doing some more adjustments that way. But for this one, I know that there's going to be everyone know why I put the little star? because there's different phases in the Creekside Estate, so I'm gonna make sure that I pick the right ones. Next thing I'm gonna do is the square footage. I'm going to put that range in there, 2959 through 3239, which was 20% of 2699 right there. One second. And then I'm gonna pick sold right there. I'm not gonna do active and pending. When you do your CMAs, you do pick some active and pendings, but I'm just gonna do sold for today, just to keep it simple for us here. And then I'm going to look at our results here. We have 13 of them that are right there. What I immediately do is go to my map, because guess what? There's Creekside Estates elsewhere. People are not very creative when they're talking about developments. So you may have a Creekside Estate that is somewhere in Rowlett, somewhere all the way in Fort Worth. So you want to make sure that you pick the properties that are right there in Wylie. And you can see, oh my, wow, there's actually another one in Plano that is right there nearby.
And the Avalon neighborhood in Wiley also has an Avalon in Fort Worth.
Mhm.
So you have to do Avalon in Wiley.
And right here is the property that our target property right here on Regina Drive. It's right here on the corner. So which houses am I going to start looking at first? Probably should look at the ones closest. So I'm going to immediately go to this one right here, which I love the name of the street, Peggy Loftus. Who is Peggy Loftus? I do not know, but she got a street named after her. She probably was a famous Wiley resident from
Yeah.
a long time ago. So remember, 2699. Why does that sound familiar? Because it's the same exact model. And it's 4 and 2.5 bath. Is this a good example already? Probably. Let's take a quick look inside just to look. Yeah, it has floors, but what did I tell you about floors? Not an adjustment. You can make an adjustment. You know, it's a subjective adjustment.
Yeah.
But remember, we can't go to that house and take a look at the floors and make sure that they're the quality that they are. So, but same grade kitchen. And what did I tell you about kitchens? Kitchens are this, that is the determination of whether it is a comparable, is the kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and select this property right here. I'm going to go now to maps again. Now that we've selected that one right there, I'm going to go to the next one closest right here. 3025 Leslie Drive. 4-3, I'll have to make an adjustment for that bathroom there. 2736, it's in the range. Does not have a pool. Let's take a look at this home. Very similar. Everything is very much standard. Let's go look at that kitchen. Just make sure they didn't do anything special to that kitchen. And guess what? Almost same kitchen there too. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one too. Go back to our map. And for today's example, I'm only going to choose 3. Take a look at this one, 3024, right next, actually across the street from 3025. Take a look at this one. Just go the opposite way, get to the kitchen faster. And same grade kitchen right there too. So have found my 3 homes that I'm going to use today. Once I've done that, I'm going to hit refine and narrow it down. So now I have my 3 homes. Let me actually show you one thing that I should have showed you on this Peggy Loftus. Tell me if you see, I'm going to scroll through these pictures. Someone yell out when you see something that needs to be adjusted.
Extended back patio?
It's on a creek.
Oh.
Remember what I told you about creeks? They add value. Okay, so now that we have our 3 homes right here, we need to do that math before we get to that cloud CMA. We still haven't got to cloud CMA. We have to do our adjustments now. So our first property. Number 1 up here. This is a 3024 Leslie. And let me pull it up on the screen too. Here it is. 3024 Leslie. Square footage of this home is 2326. And remember, our target home is 2699. So for square footage, the difference is 373. What I need to do now is, because this home, the square footage, it sold for 178.47. So I'm going to take that and times it by 178.47, which then gives me 66,569 and 31 cents. I'm now going to times this by 35% or 0.35, which my adjustment is now going to be 23,299. Is that going to be an addition or a subtraction?
It's an addition to that one because it's smaller.
Yes, because it is smaller, it is inferior. I need to add that as an adjustment.
You're gonna add the 23,299 to your house.
No.
No. to the sale
When
price
you're doing it in the CMA, we're going to add that to that actual
You're
home.
adding to the,
To this home right here,
That one,
3024,
not the subject's bigger.
not the subject.
okay.
He still is.
Now I have to make an adjustment for the bathroom. Because the difference is less a half bath. And you want to tell me on our guidelines what that would be? The range is between
2,500.
2,500, yes. And is that going to be an addition or a subtraction?
Your subject column is 2.5 baths. So we're gonna have to add it to this one.
We're going to add, yes, right there. Okay. Let's go into the next home. I wish I had more space on here.
One question, you've got these different categories of 300 to 400,000, but you don't have 400 to 500.
Yeah, that's the one thing that they don't have on this. So I'm just,
This is a $415,000 home.
true. Oh, you are right there. So this is going to be
2,000.
2,000. Sorry. Need to adjust that.
Or somewhere in between.
Somewhere, yeah.
Or somewhere in between.
10, 20, yeah.
I'm just gonna do 2,000 for this example right here. So we're gonna keep it at 2,000 right there. Okay. So now let's do our next property, which is going to be 3025 Leslie Drive. And the square foot on that one is how much?
2736.
2736. What is the difference between 2699 and 2736? 37.
No adjustment,
What was that?
no adjustment.
No adjustment. No, because it's under 100 feet. Do we have to do an adjustment for bathrooms?
You said yours-
Our target was 2.5.
So you gotta subtract it.
We have to subtract an half, so it's going to be a negative 2,000 for the bathroom. And then we're going to make one more adjustment on that one. Oh, totally forgot something on my notes. Let's look at our target. 3 garage. So our one above here, what adjustment do we have to make for a garage?
Might be in the
Another
6,500 range.
We're gonna do 6,000. So we're going to add 6,000 on the garage there. So we have to do for this one, garage 2, because it does not have. I'm just gonna add 6,000 also. Let's do our last home that we're gonna make our adjustments to. My favorite one so far, Peggy.
It's big.
Hey, this one should be easy for us. You guide me. Number 3, Peggy.
You got 2,000 for the bathroom.
Let's start with the square footage.
Same.
So 2699, no adjustment. Bathroom, same, no adjustment. Garage,
And
we're gonna have to add
Yeah.
6 grand. And remember what we saw in the backyard? Creek. So that's view. What do we have to do?
12 to 15.
15.
Look here,
It says 10 to 15.
10 to 15.
15.
We're above the 400 side.
I got
I didn't
15.
aim at the high end.
15. I agree with you guys. So we're going to have to subtract 15 on this one. Why do we have to subtract?
As if they don't.
Okay. Woo. Isn't math fun? Even before we got to our cloud CMA, we had to do all this fun
So why
math.
did we have to take 1,500 off again?
The creek, it's a view.
That house has-
And on the adjustment,
Subject doesn't.
Oh, I see. Okay.
okay.
Kind of confusing that.
Now that we have done all our math, now we can start the cloud CMA right here. We have selected the 3, and I'm gonna go back to the single line here. So we have their 3 selected. We're gonna come down here to the cloud CMA button right here. Click on it. It's gonna bring up the application. And we are going to type in our seller's name, Sally Seller. And then we need to put in our subject property right here, 3,000. I've seen this not working for some reason, but in the past, it used to actually be able to bring up the property. And it looks like it's trying, but if not, it's not a problem.
Mine came up.
Yours came up, may just be this computer right here that's not bringing it up. But what is the zip code on this?
098. All of Wiley is 098.
Okay, it is a 4-bedroom. 2.1, remember, our MLS works as a half bath, the 2.1 square foot, 2699. Residential, if we wanted to add a photo of the front, which I always take just from the MLS, grab that photo, it makes it look more customized, add that in. I'm gonna scroll down, you're gonna see here's my selected properties of the MLS right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and fetch the listings even though fetch was never supposed to catch on, but we're gonna make it catch on right here by in fetch listing. Next thing is to set your price here, but first I want to start making my adjustments to these homes. So here are our 3 homes. Let's start with Peggy right here. We're going to come down here to details and adjustments. And I'm going to come to here and start making the adjustments. So first one, what do we have to do for Peggy? Square foot. We don't have to do a square foot one. So the only we have to do is garage. And is it a plus or negative? So it's gonna, we're just gonna put 6,000 in here. We don't have to actually put the plus. And we're gonna hit save. And then what other one do we have to do? So we're gonna call it view. And we are going to do a negative 15. And hit save there. We've done our adjustments for this property.
Total adjustments 9.
Yep. And I like to fold this up because if you ever are working in it, you don't fold it up, it starts becoming a long page. Now we're gonna go down to 3024 Leslie Drive. We're gonna make our adjustments on this one here. Again, go down. First one, square foot. And what do we have to take off or put on?
33299.
Yep. Always hit that little save right there to save it on there. Next one we're going to do is our bathroom.
2250-ish.
2250, and we are doing as a plus. Save that on, and then our last one is the garage. And it's going to be 6,000 right there.
And all those are pluses, right?
Those are all pluses. And come back up because you want to fold this up so it doesn't get all messy there on your screen. And then our last one here is going to be 3025 Leslie. First adjustment,
Okay.
bathroom. And what is it?
You're doing 2250 again.
Negative 2250. So we're gonna have to do a negative on this one. Save. And then the garage. And we are going to add 6,000 and save. Now that we have done all our adjustments here, let's take a look at our adjusted values right here. 519, 446, 485. Those are our adjusted values of these homes to the target. So what are your recommendations for the value of this home?
How did you close all that to get it?
Folding it back up?
Yeah.
Oh, just go back to the little details and adjustment and hit it again. It'll fold it back up. Makes it cleaner there. So taking a look, the low, don't be careful on that side right there. It doesn't go into the adjusted values. It only goes into what it's sold at. So you really want to look at where it says adjusted on there and looking at those prices right there. So lowest one, adjusted value sold at 446. That was the smallest one, 2326. And the one that had the creek is the one that was 519. 485. There goes a lot into making a decision like that, but we know range probably is somewhere around 500,000 plus.
Well, I was gonna say 500. So let me ask you a question. You just did this just to show us. How many should you usually pick? Should you do any pendings? You just do active?
I would do
sales?
pendings, I would do actives, and I would, although 3 is the minimum, I like to do 4 for each.
Or each, okay. And you do actives pendings.
Active, pendings, and sold.
So for each of all three of those.
If I can, yes.
The pending and the active, that's just a guide. That's just for.
That's just a guide, yeah. You know,
Appraiser's not gonna listen to that, correct?
they're not gonna listen to
Okay.
that. If we're thinking about appraisal, the weighted one is going to be the sold.
But it shows the clients where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And where, if we want to be strategic and we want to not be the top of the market and we don't want to be the bottom of the market, where we want to put our price in, that would probably guide us more in making this decision today.
So then going forward in this, if you have a subdivision where, like Creekside Estates has, we have that, where you don't have that. So do you typically, is it a half a mile that they go out? Is it a mile? Is it-
Start with half a mile and then go out to a mile if you don't have enough.
Matter if it's the same school district?
Don't cross big boundaries, so big streets. And then school districts, if it is a favorable school district, you want to stay in that school district. If there's a lot that goes into this, but also know some of these appraisers are not the smartest people out there either.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that. But you doing this gives you a leg to stand on if you have to work with that appraiser and changing that value.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and set the price right here at 500,000. You could put a range in here if you wanted to. It does not require you to put a number. You could put a range, and that gives you,
That's what I was taught to do. What do you, I mean,
I put a range.
yeah, so what do you do that range, like 10,000?
Yeah, I would put it around 10,000 there. Yeah.
If we look at our market right now, and I'm sending this to a client, I think the range is gonna go 500 to 520 or 5, there's multiple offers on everything. That's,
But that's what you listed at 500, you're probably gonna get 530 maybe.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
Or more.
yeah, I guess.
So I'm gonna,
That's just awesome.
So then so with y'all listing and stuff, with the ones that have listings right now, is that I had one since for a while. But what are you seeing that, are you listing it at the higher amount to get, are you listing?
this is my tactic. I list under.
That's what I think, is you
I-
list it
I
under,
agree.
what do you think?
Well, what I say to my people is,
This
at
is,
the top price, we can have a buyer pool of this. At the lower price, we can have a buyer pool of this, which your odds of having more multiple offers is gonna come from a larger pool than a smaller pool. The other thing I look at on these two is days on market.
days on market, yes.
If the
Yes.
top one was on the longest, that, I show that as an example. I go, look, they were on 32 days.
And days on market, just to let you guys know, all of these were under 5 days.
Yes.
And one other thing I'll add, because this is easy in Creekside. This is very
Yeah,
difficult
absolutely.
in a lot of these areas. You can't find one comp.
Okay.
I just sold one, nothing. We had to go to Sunnyvale from 40, completely different, 100% different.
Yeah.
But I went with the comps in it, so I went at 660. I sold it at 777, saying this is worth more than that, but there's nothing on paper. So, but if we would have gone the other route, we would have argued appraisers. These people knew that you signed an appraisal waiver. It made it easier to do it competent right. I think you comped it right, my personal opinion.
Yeah,
And
and
then go.
that's what I'm thinking too, because I had two this year that sold, well, one of them was last year, but sold in Wally. And it was in, can't think of the name right now, but I sold the very top. I could not find a comp one, but he decked out that backyard because he's a landscaper, had his pool built. And I go, just pick a number, Bill, because your house doesn't look like anybody else's. And I go, just pick a number and let's see, because there is not one comp. They only lived there 2 years.
Mhm.
There's not hardly any comps. And but what was like 400,000, 350, whatever. He goes 585. I go, or 565 or 5 something. Anyway, we got 560. We walked away with 565. So,
Really?
yes. And it was, now they're selling them there for 660, something like that. That was last year. And I just threw that number out there and it was way high. But I go, hey, he goes, well, we don't have to sell, just throw a number out there. And I'm like, all right. And it worked, but his backyard sold the house. Now, in Allen, had the same thing happen this year, but I had sold it to an agent in this office. I go, guys, I know that there's a house that's about to sell, because I know the agent, he told me he got 600,000 for it, or 650 or something. I go, but it's a mile away, there's no comps in your neighborhood. I mean, I have to go. It was a 3-bedroom house, 2,500 square feet, no pool, no nothing really. I listed it for $499 and I got $570 for it, but there were absolutely no comps or anything for it. So I went the lower route and ended up with something in there for 71,000 over.
At least we did our job, let supply and demand get us the big money.
Exactly.
That's the way I view it.
That's how I feel too. I hate that.
I'm on the high side of the comps. I'm gonna list it on the high of what we see. but
Okay, because I agree with the same thing. I just wanted to make sure I was.
I don't know if that's right.
Just want to show you a little thing on here also. Here,
Is it what?
I
It's
was
every-
saying, is that because you guys work in favorable living areas, or that just Dallas Fort Worth period?
If
Just
the
low
house,
inventory.
if the house is nice, I mean, honestly, if it's nice, I would always go with the, right now, you go, like you said, lower, but not.
Not the lowest.
But not the lowest, he'll probably get, if you're listing her house, probably maybe that could be $550 for that house. But if he lists it right at 5, then he's,
It's like,
does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
like an appraiser is gonna give you $6,000 for a garage. A buyer in this market is gonna give you $30,000 for the garage.
Yes.
But so you're battling those two.
Okay.
So there's appraisal waiver, which is what we all did. That says learn this and then get rid of it.
so I just showed you this thing right here. I dropped down where it said price guide and net sheet. These are just suggested by Cloud CMA. This is as qualified as a Zestimate. So please don't go by, and these numbers don't show on your Cloud CMA. This is just what Cloud CMA is recommending. You are the more accurate judge of price. So just note that this is what they're giving the
Do
range.
you ever price it and then go by what, realist tax say at the bottom? Where it says what to list it for and those guidelines?
I have never, but I always take a look at it just to see how close I am to it.
I'm pretty close to it, but I mean, it's,
On your property, on your property,
when you list them. I don't look at it first, I do it and then I go back and look and see what it says.
I find those to be all over the place depending on how much they fought it.
So here is another part right here where you can create a net sheet,
So
but I would always use a title company's net sheet calculator instead of this net sheet right here and just add that in. This is, you'd have to do line by line and add your net sheet. So I recommend not using this net sheet, but it is here if you want to do it this way. I like using, I always use Capital. My favorite title company is right over there at Lakeside. Is it Lakeside or Lakewood? Whatever. Lakeside. I'm over there with Vicky Pierce. That's my person right there. And I would recommend, if you do not have a title person that you work closely with, get one, because they're going to be your best friend. And when you ever need a net sheet, and they can actually help you in those net sheets and stuff like that.
Vicky's with who? Capital?
Capital. She was with lawyers and she
When did that happen?
Earlier last year, she was offered the opportunity to create a satellite office, because this is just a satellite office of the one from Park in Preston. So she was able to open it up. It's a beautiful office.
Cool. Got another.
Question, just because what Brandon said makes some sense, and like this market, where the right home in the right neighborhood obviously is fetching more than appraised value quite often. So I assume that if I had a listing in the right neighborhood right now, this sheet, I mean, if I have a buyer or seller that we know it's gonna go in 5 days and they're gonna get above, this is almost, I won't say useless, but I'm probably not gonna put this in with my market price if we know that they're gonna get appraisal waivers, because things are going for a lot more.
So, if you get a waiver, that's like a golden ticket, but just be aware, people sometimes slide out of deals.
I understand that. I guess I'm just thinking, when you looked at the value of, or we're not putting value in remodel this, remodel that, we're flooring. As a buyer myself who just bought a second home in the summertime, I mean, I know what I put value in, and it's like, if I know we're in the right market where this subdivision or this neighborhood is fetching above or top dollar, I'm not gonna put $6,000 in for a garage on my comp if I know that additional garage has been selling for 20 grand or whatever, because it seems like I'd be setting my price significantly low, but maybe I'm.
Well, no, you're wrong. I mean,
Yeah,
have that
there's-
conversation. Say on paper, it's this. The reality is this. I have the two
Yes.
conversations.
Okay.
And keep in mind too, there's a little bit of like buyer psychology to this. If you max out every single thing to where you think it's valued at, great, go for it. But a lot of buyers won't see that or recognize it, and they'll think it's overpriced, even if it's at the price where it should sell. So if you bring it down to a little bit more what would be established or normal prices on a lot of these items, and even bring it down maybe even 2 to 3% on the value of the house, everybody will see it as a better deal or better value. And you will get more offers and you'll get above what that typical average price in the neighborhood is.
Plus, I honestly believe this too. I think that the appraiser, if you go take a house because you think it's because of all of this, now I would go with the highest one that just sold. But if you think that it's, if you praise it way out, an appraiser's gonna be like, he's an idiot. And get a low value on the appraiser. If you I think this, I may be totally wrong, but if you praise it right, and that appraiser comes in and goes, yeah, she was smart, she praised it right. The buyers just wanted to pay over.
The buyers were overexcited.
100,000
Yeah.
over, then he could possibly work in the middle with you or
Okay,
get it a
that makes
little bit
sense.
higher. But if you go and price it way too high, I think it's just pissing appraisers off.
Yeah,
And then you'll lose the buyers, but once the buyers are in, then you see the bid deadline on the bottom, the appraiser is gonna see that it went to multiple offers in 3 days. He knows there's 40 offers, she knows.
and
Yeah.
there's certain ways that you can argue with your case without even meeting the appraiser. You can take those comps, so especially the MLS listing of the most expensive home that was, bought in that area that was closed, that has similar items to the house that you were, and if it's like $50,000 over what you listed it at, put it in a folder, says, for the appraiser on this date,
I always do
please
that.
review. I've always done that with every house that was questionable. And I swear to God, they will appraise it to the penny of the contract. If it's like looking like it was well over and you might have an appraisal waiver, a lot of times they will appraise it to the exact penny of what the buyer's contract was.
Well, for instance, my house I just sold this time last year, we closed December 18th. It was the highest one in the neighborhood up until March hit. I missed $100,000. Had I waited 6 months, I missed out on $100,000 to sell my home, honestly. No thanks. Anyway, I had
You're
it,
not bitter though.
I had not at all. It's a lot of money. I had it at, and I went back and forth on this and back and forth because it was really only, seriously, the comps showed us, I did the same thing. The Wallet House, the comps only showed like 450s, under 500. And I called a couple of people that do a lot of business out in Lucas because I didn't do a lot of business up there, I did a little bit, but she goes, listed at 575, and I go, that's just too high. I go, there's nothing in this neighborhood that can even support that. She goes, don't go under 550. So I threw it out there at 550, and I had a badass backyard, same thing, but it backed up to, I was one street over from what's gonna be a major highway, and it backed up to this trash thing. Didn't get an appraisal waiver because that was back in November, and not thinking, don't ever sell your own home, by the way, because you can't take the emotions out of it. You gotta get help. I could not take the emotion out of this, but I ended up selling it to a great family. I only got 6,000 over, but that was before the market went like that, or went like that. And the family loves it though. It was a great decision that I made, but I got 6,000 over. Let me tell you this. When I was like, there's no way this house is gonna price. Absolutely no way. Didn't get an appraisal waiver, like I said, because it was before we were doing all that, and I didn't really realize I should have, because they put in over. I had one for 570, but it was a contingency and I didn't take it. So I get a phone call, and this is the good Lord above. I get a phone call or a text saying your appraisal is tomorrow. And I look down, he was a friend.
No way.
He was a friend of mine. And I looked up, I told my husband, I go, you're not gonna believe who our appraiser is. And I don't know if he's, and so I called him, and he had already accepted it. And he told his boss, I know these people, I know all about this house, because I asked him all these questions about listing it. He was there for 2.5 hours. But I had everything listed out, every dime I put in it. And he made it, he made it. But it was he went by everything that I listed out and all the upgrades and how nicely it was done and all that. and it made appraisal, and now the
Right, I
neighbor,
remember.
the neighbor sold that right at 565, but the neighbor sold for like 50, 675, 6 months later.
What I'm finding out also is not just the list of upgrades as far as everything that you can see in the house, but the upgrades behind the walls that nobody really looks at when the buyer's walking through, such as water heater, when the AC was changed, insulation on roofing,
I did,
replacing of sprinkler systems inside the house with PVC instead of that cheap little, yes,
Inside the house.
yes.
You must be doing.
It was
5,000
so
square feet or more.
Ironically, yeah, this was 5,000
Okay.
feet or more,
I just
but
wanted to help
ironically,
our new agents here to know.
this house
People
went
don't
under
know that.
contract 2 weeks before the freeze last February. And it was the only home that was on the market that didn't get hit by a flood because they had changed out their pipes from that really, what is it, the PEC pipes, the really cheap plastic ones, PECs, to PVC. And their house didn't get
Most
any.
homeowners would never do
But
that.
that was one of the upgrades that they put in after it was built.
To me, it's valuable.
Not
Some
that, because
people-
I was told that behind, it doesn't matter behind, they don't take into account the behind.
Let me talk to you guys about the appraisal package in a little bit, but let me go through the report real quick and just finish it up here because you're gonna not get off track. Once I've done all those adjustments, again, I showed you that little price guide thing that I don't recommend, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit customize report up here on top. It's going to build this report for me. Now, first off, you can choose your theme. I have a modern silver. You can choose all these different ones up here for a modern black, whatever is your brand, you can pick something that's going to match your brand. Even they have the Keller Williams colors in here. You can see that they have Sotheby's and all these different companies in here if you want to pick their color right there. I always just use modern black and silver because that's my brand color right there. Choose my theme, applies it. You can do layouts of how you want layouts of pictures for homes to be, all those things right there. Play around with that, different templates, what you want your cover to be and what your default font to be. So all these things right here. And then on the side right here, this is your standard package right here of all the things that you can include inside of your report. Some of this stuff is already in my report. Like I have a title page, I have my cover letter that you can edit. Shows that I spent some time, I already wrote the letter out for everybody. I can put my resume in there about my company. Most of the stuff is already.
It's no backfiring.
Again, apologize, I guess I'm hungry. So what is a CMA? It has that in there. This is just filler stuff to fill in that report in for you. But then also it has the map of your listings, a summary of your comparables, a list chapter, all the details of the photos, the adjustments in there, all this other items in here that you can add. And I would recommend going through all of this, looking at every one of these pages to decide what you're going to include on a regular basis. And then every time you have a new CMA, you can actually add or delete these in here. And you can even put your custom pages in here. On this side here, there's also some other ones that if you have the premium package, you have. But I say this is actually a really beautiful report. And you'll see this in just 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and publish the report. Sounds like contemporary music right there. Here we go. And then right away, I have a view, the PDF right here. Here it is. Again, if you would have put the cover, it would have the cover of the home right there, but has my resume. If I wanted that in there, what is a CMA? My beautiful mugshot, only a mother could love, amazing. Summary of comparables right here with the adjustments that were made. Here are the listings for your clients so they can see all the different homes and they can compare them. With the adjustments on there on the last page. Analysis. Here's where you have your statistics in here. Everything has been selling for 107.2. Here you have your range. You can see I just created this beautiful report, and most of the times that we spent was doing this. That was real quick, just to create this beautiful report right here. And take a look at this right here. You also get a live website that you can provide to your clients that has all of this assembled for them. So they can go in here and look at recent sales. One second. Okay, here are the comps. So I can look at the comps. So this is a live website. So if they don't want a PDF, you can give them a live website. This also works.
So you got that, when you hit publish report?
When you hit the publish report, and then you have the two links. You have the PDF or the live website right there for you. So
And if you hit view live, then you just copy the link at the top and send it to them?
Yeah.
Basically, oh, you're
provide
doing,
the link there.
I'm gonna assume that. But
Mhm. So what I like to do at this point is write up an email, put up the PDF in there and give them also the link to the live site so that they can like click around. Most of this is just to impress them.
Well, it looks really good.
It really
And it
does.
impressed me, so that's why I'm like, all right, I'll just have it up.
And just to let you guys know, this is not the only thing that you can do. This is the CMA right here. You can also do a buyer tour. So if you were to be in Netris, you just pick the homes and then you hit buyer tour instead. And then it creates a buyer tour with all the homes that you're going to see that day with note sheets for them to take notes, all the pictures of the homes.
So in Netris, you can hit where it says buyer tour.
Mhm.
It takes you right to this.
You would still click the cloud CMA, but on top you would, when it comes to that page where it had said, click their name and the property, on top you would just hit buyer tour and it would allow you to then create a buyer tour package for them of all the homes they're going to see that day.
Man, if you guys do that in this market, I'm
Also, you can do a property. So this is more for if you are the listing agent and you want to create a property PDF or a property website, you can actually create those too. So it would be a PDF that you could provide about the home so that it could, especially if you have something that's over 500, you want to create this property PDF or property website, and it will have all the facts and figures about the home. And then the last one is this is actually a little different, but you just create a flyer whenever you want to create a flyer here. You name for the client, or if it's for an open house. You type in the MLS that you are going to do, and I'm going to go ahead and put an MLS that I know that one is active here. Go ahead and fetch the listing here. There's the property right there. You can make adjustments to the details if you want. I just say customize flyer. We have a new modern one. Okay, let's go ahead and try the modern one here. And there's the home right there, already flyer. That's all I had to do was put the MLS and I can still make adjustments to it. Quick way to make a flyer for an open house. And you can pick whatever theme you want. Again, whether you want a color theme and then also the layout, whatever layout you want to create a flyer. And that's all available for you for Cloud CMA right here.
What's this home beat thing?
That is a new thing that they have provided. I have not investigated. It is an add-on. You do have to pay for it, but I do believe it creates.
All that for you, but how accurate is it?
I do not know, so I haven't played around with it, so it is more about like being the neighborhood expert.
Do you find yourself doing the flyers on here or on command?
That's a good question. I used to do them on here and then I started on command because of what I have to do here in the market center. So I've had to use command, but
But sometimes command's not there, and I guess I just need to realize this will be.
this will do it for you
I still
too.
don't know how to do command.
Yeah.
So
So
we're gonna learn together this year.
So talk to you about the appraisal package. I recommend always creating an appraisal package, even though you have an appraisal waiver, I still do it because it's going to make you look good that you are creating this package. And also it's going to actually ensure that your appraisal will actually appraise, even though you have that appraisal waiver. I still like doing it. And it shows that you are a good agent. What I like to include in there is the Cloud CMA with all the accurate adjustments in there. That appraiser actually reads those things. I actually had one in Liliana calling me and going, I'm looking through your package. How did you pick this number? Oh, that's great. Why did you pick that? He was going through it line by line in my cloud CMA to all the adjustments I made. And it appraised even higher than what I had put on there because, and it was the highest property that sold in Liliana. So I set the record there. And I don't think there was a home that had sold 20,000 under there. So I set that. What I like to also include in there is the quick CMA. I still include the quick CMA. But this is an actual thing that I actually create before I list the home, is I have my seller give me a list of everything that you have made improvements on the home. If it's a new build, the list of improvements you made when you were in the design studio and how much it cost you. And then how many improvements you made, all the list of improvements you made after you bought the home and the costs that you paid for those.
You go back from the beginning or just the last, like if it's a 20-year-old home and it's.
If it's a 20-year-old home, it's probably the last 5 years or so, but I had that for that Liliana home. He had just bought it in 2019. He had made all these adjustments. I had him price those out and I had that list ready to go for any time there was a listing, a showing agent. I had that PDF go out to them through showing time. It went to them through showing time. You can actually attach PDFs so that it'll go to that agent every time.
To the appraiser?
No, to the actual agent that shows the home. There's a PDF that will shoot to them through showing time. And it had the list of all the improvements that were made on the home. I had that list also in the appraisal package there. Last thing that I had, because it was multiple offer, I had every single offer printed off. I just took off the name of the person and what that offer was, and if it had an appraisal waiver on it. And since there were 5 different offers, all of them in there, it shows that someone wanted that property. So
do you leave that, you send it to the appraiser or do you leave it on?
I put it in a folder and I leave it on the counter opened up the day of the appraisal. And I also make sure to have my business card right there so that they can call me. And if you want even more personal, write a letter to them, say, please call me if you have any questions about this appraisal package. I prepared this for you, just make your life easier.
I like that.
And I did.
Like 10 minutes?
And that just takes me a few minutes, yeah. The
Yeah,
hardest part was actually working with your seller to get all the costs of everything that they had done, but it
you're doing
does.
that either way. Well, we should be doing it either way.
So I hope this was a good class for you guys, a good discussion.
When you're listing a home, not the buyer.
It could, you could do a CMA also when you are working with a buyer that loves a home and it may be overpriced. So you can tell them, hey, this is an overpriced market value, but if you love this home, it will appraise in price over time. Just know that when you're getting into it, you're going to overpay for this home. You can have those comps and you can build that report for them to show them what the comps in that neighborhood are selling for.
So when you're doing your command classes and you're getting into the, not the newer ones, because I know that, what are the classes that, like, if we're trying to make something? What command classes are those? 5, 4, 5, 6, what?
You mean like
Are you teaching the new people?
I do Command 101, Command 201, Command 301. Command 101 is about your database and your website. Command 201 is about your transactions, opportunities in DocuSign. And then 301 is about marketing and.
So I need 301.
Yeah.
301's the one I
Me
Yeah,
too.
those 301 is all about marketing. Say again?
When are you gonna do that class?
Let me look on the calendar real quick. Hold on 1 second here.
I think it's that 3rd week in January.
Yeah, it probably is the 3rd week of January.
Not me.
Well, 301 is the 31st, 201 is the 25th.
Yep, that is correct. 31st of January from 10:30 to 12:30.
Eddie, one last thing for me,
Sure.
or mobile apps. How are you guys on the fly when you're out with clients? What are you using when somebody says, hey, what about this property? Are y'all pulling up the MLS mobile? Because I don't Yeah?
No, I go to full, I do.
I go to
not
full
You hit
site.
full,
site.
so I'm doing that crap too. So you're hitting 4 or 5 different links?
No, I'm hitting full site.
Yeah, but you have to log